of work it out. Oh.
All right, we are starting. I am here with Jacey Bedford, and this is part of the ongoing series promoting the Zombies Need Brains triumvirate of new fantasy and science fiction anthologies. And Jacey is writing for Brave New Worlds. And I read the description of Brave New Worlds last time, so I'm not even going to reiterate that. I'm going to plunge right into things and say, Jacey, is the story nascent or full flown?
Oh, I've written a whole 400 words so far. It's not going to get me very far, is it? But talking with Joshua beforehand, I've got a trilogy of books called the Sci-Tech trilogy, which is science fiction. And the story, it pretty well concluded in 3 books. Hang on, there's one of them.
Oh, pretty.
So, but I got a pair of characters who disappeared from the last book about 7/8 of the way towards the end. And they kind of set off on their own. And I'd quite like to follow them and see where they are, what they're doing, and what brave new world they found.
Oh, very cool. Awesome. So this is not your first, not your second, not your third, not your fourth, not your fifth, but your 6th appearance in a Zombies Need Brains anthology. This is a pattern I'm finding with a lot of writers. So it's clear something keeps bringing you folks back to these. What is it that makes you come back to write for them?
Well, I mean, they're really well produced. Joshua's really on the ball about all his fundraising and his Kickstarters. And then the editing is great. The covers are always good. And to be perfectly honest, it gives me a kick up the backside to write another short story. You know, I spend a lot of time writing novels these days, but I don't spend as much time on short stories as I used to. And so it's really nice to be able to commit to a short story. And then, you know, I mean, it's not due till December, which probably means about the end of November, I'll be going, what shall I write? But I mean, I know I've got plenty of time. I just need to get on with it, really.
Yeah. Well, there's a huge pleasure, I think, in short stories in that you can sit down and finish one in a session or 2, whereas with a novel, you're like, oh, I wrote 4,000 words and I only have 65,000 to go.
My novels tend to be long as well. Empire of Dust came in at 173,000, and the whole, that's the start of a trilogy. They're all around 170,000. I've learnt my lesson by the time I wrote Winterwood. That was only 135,000. But I don't seem to be able to write very short novels.
Yeah. Well, you're at the spectrum. It's the very short or the 100 in.
Oh yeah, I mean, you should see it. If my husband and I start to try and write a letter together, he's a songwriter. He can write in 4 verses what it takes me 173,000 words to produce. So we start to write a letter together, and I'm putting explanations in, and he's crossing them out, and
he's putting in the perfect words. The perfect.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. So by now, 6 anthologies. So you may have already exhausted the answer to this question, but do you have a dream anthology where you really want to write a story for?
I do. Several years ago at Milford, I don't know if you know about Milford, it's a writers get together. 15 writers get together every September for a week, and basically talk about books between them. They take their work in progress, everybody critiques it very positively. Nobody gets away with anything, but it's always a kind critique. You know what I mean? People may say what they really feel, but they'll deliver it kindly. And some years ago, we did a Milford where a couple of the stories were about swans. Ooh. And we said a swan anthology. And then we said, no, it's got to be a swanthology. And this was just about the tail end of the time when Marty Greenberg used to do the anthologies for Door, which I was in 3 or 4 of those. I've forgotten exactly how many. And I basically was about to suggest it, and then Marty died, of course, and it kind of all fell by the wayside. But I've always had this real itch to write something for a swanthology, and because of those stories that were at Milford, I've already got 2 on the back burner that other people have written that were really good.
I think just for hashtag swanthology.
It's perfect, isn't it?
That's awesome. All right. Well, people should support these Kickstarters. Because it brings you lots of, oh gosh. Sorry about that. I have the phone set up to ping me. People should support these Kickstarters because they produce lots of excellent stories, and also because they are providing open calls for writers, which means there's, aside all the wonderful stories, there are slots for new and interesting voices, and we should be supporting that. So,
absolutely, yes.
All right. So support the Kickstarter at the get 1 book or 2 books. You should get 2 books because you should get both Brave New Worlds and the one that I'm in, Shattering the Glass Slipper. And then maybe you want to support 3 just to kind of get all 3. But the link will be in the description. So
it's a pity you can't be in 2 at once, because the Shattering the Glass Slipper one was really tempting as well.
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
Yeah, there's a lot to work on there.
Well, hopefully they'll keep doing them for years and years to come.
Oh, that would be very nice. Joshua's really got a nice little setup there. It's good.
It's awesome. All right, I'm going to end things. Jacey, are there any last words for people who are thinking about writing stories for one of the anthologies?
Buy a couple of the previous anthologies, have a look at the stories that are in there. They aren't all certainly one of a type, but I think you get a better feel for what goes into the anthologies if you've read a couple of them. I mean, the one that I'm in that's out fairly recently, that's the Derelict one.
Nice.
And there were 3 again at the same time. So yeah, get a couple and have a read and have a think, and just write something and submit it. Probably around about 6,000 words is the sweet spot.
Nice. Well, that's very useful to know. Awesome. All right, I'm going to stop recording. Thank you so much, Jacey. This has been delightful.
You're very welcome. Lovely to see you online.